welcome into the first ever edition of the DT's Red Raider Extra. I'm John Arnold, and I'm your host of this show that's going to talk about all things Texas Tech sports. But of course, this week, the big story, Texas in town at the Jones this weekend to take on the Texas Tech football team. Tommy Tuberville's team has started off 2-0. They've passed those first two tests, but not always with flying colors. Of course, the same can be said of the number 6 Longhorns. They struggled a bit in their opener against Rice and faced a first-half deficit against Wyoming last Saturday before Trey Newton and the Longhorn rushing attack got it going. Longhorns, of course, bring in new quarterback Garrett Gilbert, stepping in to replace familiar face Colt McCoy. Of course, in those aforementioned first two games, we got the answers to some of the questions that we had in the preseason. Of course, we learned right before the season started that quarterback Taylor Potts would be the starter. He's done well so far and hasn't thrown an interception. Texas is a secondary that likes to force interceptions, but they've only managed to get one so far this year. On the other side, the Texas Tech secondary has forced 5 interceptions. That was a big concern going into the season with the young secondary, but guys like DJ Johnson and, of course, returning safety Cody Davis have been more than up to the task for the Red Raiders secondary. The defensive line was also another question heading into the year, and they haven't been as solid, but we saw Scott Smith step up this week and was Coach Tuberville's player of the game on the defensive side of the ball against New Mexico, answering those questions. All of our questions will probably be answered this week as the Red Raiders face their first real test. Now we're joined by the DT's news editor, but he also shoots video for football, the man who does it all, Edmund Rostran. Edmund, it was a struggle at sometimes against the New Mexico Lobos this past weekend, and really the side of the ball that got it done was the special teams.
Definitely, John. Aaron Crawford and Jonathan Bryden, 2 block punts in Saturday's game, really changed the momentum for the Red Raiders. Also, Eric Stevens, 175 yards, return yards. That's something Tech hasn't seen in a long time.
Yeah, Eric Stevens named the conference special teams player of the week. Tommy Tuberville picked Aaron Crawford as the special teams player of the week. So when you can't decide who gets an award, that tells you how good that unit really was on Saturday. One of the units that struggled on Saturday, the Red Raiders couldn't really establish a running game when they weren't around the red zone. A lot of that fell on the offensive line.
I definitely think so. Chris Olsen was supposed to be, the guy that had experience for the Red Raiders, was supposed to be the go-to guy, held the line together, but we haven't seen it this year. Honestly, the running game, it's got to pick up if the Red Raiders really want to compete with the Big 12. I think Will Muschamp this week is going to come in, and he's going to know, and he's going to tell his defensive line, hey, we got to close them down.
The offensive line looking to get back Mickey Okafor from injury, and of course, Texas coming into town, never an easy task. We'll see what they do this Saturday. Thanks so much for joining us here on Red Raider Extra. We'll be back next week. Hope to see you then.